Hey guys, my name is Crazy Penguin. Welcome back to another weapon comparison video. In this series, I like to compare two weapons side by side so you can get a better feel for what one's more useful. Also, generally, I'll be comparing the default weapon versus something you need to unlock with more experience or gold. In this episode, I'll be covering the Juggernaut secondary weapons, the Spinfuser MKD, and the X1 LMG. So let's pull up some stats. Alright, so as you probably know, the Spinfuser and an automatic weapon are both vastly different. So these stats aren't here to compare them, more to define them, so I can better explain the usefulness of each of them after I get past this section. The Spinfuser does 840 damage on a direct hit, and anywhere between 600 and 300 with splash damage, with it being a secondary weapon that's really great damage. Clip size is obviously 1, you reload after every shot, and you can have anywhere between 18 and 28 ammo, which is also great for a secondary. The X1 LMG does 80 to 60 damage based on the range you're shooting your target. It has a clip size of 70 or 80, which lasts quite a while, and an ammo count of 400 up to 540. Again, great stats for a secondary weapon. Alright, so let's talk about these guys for a little bit so I can help you understand which one should be used in which situation. I'll say right up front that there isn't a clear winner with these. It kind of depends on your playstyle, but in general I would suggest X1 LMG, and let me explain why. The Spinfuser is the default one that you start with. As I mentioned, has really great damage. You could run around with this thing as your primary and you do just fine, but that's not necessarily using the class's strengths to your advantage. The Spinfuser is really great if you're not amazing with your fusion mortar or MIRV. If you can't seem to hit a turret at a certain range, or you're not confident that you will without taking a couple shots to judge the distance, the Spinfuser is perfect because all you do is point and click. A couple shots you take out a radar, a couple shots you take out a turret, you can harass a Hoff, take out his fields, his mines, if you can't seem to find that range. However, the mortar and the MIRV are going to be so much more effective at these once you get used to actually shooting it. So this is kind of like a newbie tip. When you first start the class, the Spinfuser is great for taking out base assets and harassing a Hoff. However, you need to get better with those mortars and those MIRVs so you can be a better asset to your team and have more options. The Spinfuser also allows you to do special things like Spinfuser Jump, which is quite useful, especially when you have a really large health pool and you have really low mobility. Overall, the Spinfuser is great indoors. I would really suggest it if you plan to be a disruptive Juggernaut. Instead of raining down death on their flag stand, if for whatever reason you decide that you want to infiltrate their base, then I would definitely suggest the Spinfuser. In close quarters combat, it's great. There isn't a lot of room for them to dodge, and it makes for really potent damage. So let's talk about the X1 LMG now. Why would you choose it over the Spinfuser? Well, mostly because it's just an amazing weapon. It does a lot of damage, has a huge clip size, has a small spin up time, but that's hardly noticeable. You can just hold down the trigger as if you were a Doombringer and destroy people with this weapon. It's really great, and it has a lot of ammo. What really makes this gun shine is when you get into those outdoors duels. When you're raining death with your mortars and MIRVs and you have somebody come and confront you, you pull out your LMG and you fight with it, and it's a lot more effective than the Spinfuser. Spinfuser requires supreme accuracy. There's almost no room for error. You have to hit them every time they touch the ground or get an air shot, whereas the LMG allows you to constantly pick away at their health. When somebody's in the air and they're trying to line up a shot and you're shooting them in the face, it's going to make it very difficult for them to see, for them to aim, and the damage adds up real quick. When you're facing an enemy brute or any heavy class really, and you have the LMG, they drop quite quickly, mostly because they're a big target and they move slow. They drop really quickly. Also, it does very significant damage against lightweights, so a Sentinel who decides to get aggressive, a Pathfinder who's bouncing around you, this LMG is going to cut through them. An Infiltrator who decides he's going to try and melee you is going to drop like a fly in the face of the LMG. It is a really great weapon. And when you mix it with the Spinfuser grenades, it makes for a really potent combination. When they're in the air, you start picking away at their health with the LMG. They touch down, you throw a disc at their feet, they're back in the air again. It makes for a really nice rhythm and great damage. And then, because you're using the Spinfuser disc, you can also achieve the same effect of the Spinfuser MKD with the added utility of Spinfuser jumping and taking out base assets. Tossing a couple of your grenades to take out a radar is a great choice, and then you still have 1 or 2 left based on your perks to deal with incoming enemies. Overall, like I said at the start, it pretty much depends on your playstyle, whether or not you're going to be out in a field or indoors or what you're comfortable with. If you haven't unlocked the LMG yet, I would definitely suggest that you do so. It really makes this class a lot more viable in certain scenarios. But don't feel restricted to one or the other. I have multiple classes set up so I can switch between the two. They're completely interchangeable based on what's needed at the time. Don't feel like you loaded up with this one so you need to stick with it. But that'll do it for this weapon comparison. Hopefully it was a little bit more in depth and to your liking. If you learned something, be sure to leave a like on the video and let me know down in the comments what I can do better and what you enjoyed. As always, if you like this kind of content, be sure to stick around. We have more coming out. And be sure to check out our website at FPSGeneral.com for more gaming interaction and news. I'll see you in the next video, guys.